Cool.
All right, I'm gonna let everyone in.
Yeah, we should be alive on Facebook too. Elvie, you just make sure that we are, please, if you don't mind.
Yes, we are.
All right, so-
Good afternoon, everyone, unless you're in Arizona like me and it's still morning,
Or
still 11
Hawaii.
a.m.
Or Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hawaii.
Could be in Hawaii.
We have people in our group in Hawaii. Um,
Awesome.
So we're going to.
Give us a few minutes to come in. Let's see. It's Chai. We're waiting for Chai to join. He'll be on, and then Kinley also. But we got other stuff to cover in the first part, so I'm pulling up. We'll do Q&A until Chai's on. And Eric, do you want to? What else you got going on, you guys?
I want to tell you guys a story about a personal experience that happened to me this week. It has to do because you guys know, some of you guys are in it. You're in our coaching program, and I personally have my own coaches for pretty much almost everything I do. And so I have a coach, nothing to do with real estate. And I was on a call with somebody in our coach. I won't go too personal into it. Actually, you know what? I will go personal into it. And my wife and I we have our own like marriage coach, how to have a better marriage, right? We're actually been married 17 years and super happy and amazing kids.
Probably why you guys been married 17 years, because you got a coach.
No, we didn't. My point recently in the last couple months.
No, but it helps, is my point.
Well, I know. How do we better at?
Hey, you're freezing up for a second. Give it a second to catch up. I think it's on your side. You're frozen on. Elvie, is Eric frozen? Or is it not?
Yeah, he is.
All right, hold on, Eric. You froze.
At least he's smiling now.
Yeah, at least he's not. Last time he had his finger like his nose and almost like he was picking at, but you might. I don't know if you can hear us. You might have to have Eric abort and come back. So while Eric is figuring it out, I'm going to jump into some Q&A real quick. Keep the eye on the chat for me, Elvio. We're looking for Chai. I texted him earlier, but he has not. He's going to join us to go through a note, and keep your eye on Eric too.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let me just check this real quick. Give me 1 second.
Back on. Yes.
There you are. You're back. I don't see you.
Maybe I have my video off, but
You're real spotty.
I
Yeah, I don't see your video though. I'm gonna find you. Where are you? There you are.
I took my. Am I still spotty?
Oh no, but there you are. Well,
Better.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, we're
I don't
good.
know. Anyway, my point is I had a call. If you guys can hear me, I apologize for the spottiness. I don't know what's going on with my internet in my office, but anyway, when you have a third party looking at systems and processes or whatever you're in that you can't see, and they say 2 or 3 things, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was my little story, nothing to do with real estate, but just how the importance of having someone third party looking out above you that you can't see some of the things that you're working on to make you successful in whatever you're doing. If my son and I golf, we do whatever, we just always adding somebody or a third party to look at what we're doing to be successful. And that's some of the things with our real estate side of our business, especially with what Nick and I are doing and what we talk about on our Office Hours Live is you guys might be working on something, and then all of a sudden somebody third party looks above and goes, well, what about that? Oh my God, I never even thought of that. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's my little 2 cents on what happened to me personally in a positive way last week when it comes to that. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to marriage, no one teaches you how to be married. That's what I was telling you. I was trying to get out. If I blacked out, it's unbelievable. So anyway.
Yes. Yeah, sing on the, like, one of our guests is,
We're adding one of our guests coming on to
a
talk.
couple guests on today, so I just wanna wait and see, but I'm gonna go into a couple Q and questions first. So you guys, like, do you do like, so in that coaching, or do you like, is it like Zoom? Is it in person? What do you guys do?
Are you talking about marriage coaching? Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm just curious, because
Zoom. It's a husband and wife.
I've been married almost 30 years. I might need to do something to,
You might need to learn how to be married now.
yeah, I think I've screwed it up the last 27 and a half years.
Well, it's but your wife, that's why you're still together.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Exactly.
answer is yes, it's on Zoom and it's been, I don't know, it's been a great experience for me to do that. So same concept for real estate, but just on a personal level, it's been a good experience.
Good. Cool. So let's just jump in a couple questions here real quick, and then hopefully Chai, one other person. I don't know why I can't, I'm trying to moderate now. Somebody's trying to chime in on this other side. So I only have 2 hands and 3 computers. So I'm trying to figure this out. All right. Question came up. I think we missed it a couple times ago. It says somebody asked a question, the rationale behind charging interest rates on the first and second notes at 9.75%, or whatever the hell we decide we want to change it, charge on it. You want to explain the rationale behind that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Why not?
Why
you?
are we charging 9.75?
Why would we ever charge somebody? Well, it was much, I like the question. I would have loved the question a year and a half ago when rates were 2.5 and 3 points. Because guess what? My answer would have been 2.5, 2 years ago when rates were 2.5 and 3 versus 7 now.
It's based on prime. It's based on
The reason why we charge would not have changed. That's the point I'm going to make. I don't give a rip if it's 12%. I don't care if it's 2%. It's because that's what we charge. And the reason why we charge it is because there's a lot of factors that go into underwriting a borrower, right? And some of them we're going to talk about today when we're on it, right? So why wouldn't you charge 9.75%? That would be a better question, I think.
Well, I would say it falls in line with affordability, number one, and what you legally can charge. That's how I look at it. And mainly right now it's affordability because of the prices that are out there. But every market's different. I mean, I'm doing a loan right now for $28,000. It's a first lien. But that's what made sense. In fact, what I did is I charged 10% and I did it over, I think I amortized it out because I wanted higher cash flow. They could afford it. I think it is $389 a month. And what I did is I just backed into the term and the amortization to fit the cash flow that I would like and the pay down that they were comfortable paying. So it doesn't always have to be 30-year. It just depends on the note amount.
That's true if you're going to hold the note in perpetuity.
100%. Yeah, I'm not selling that note. I'm not selling that note.
Well, that's fine. Okay. You say that now, but so did the other $28 billion worth of mortgage notes that were written last year. The 95% of the people that are mom and pops that wrote notes are probably thinking the same thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, because I've been doing this a long time, life gets in the way. People get sick, people get married, they need a new car, they lose their job. And that's why that's where they get, in my opinion, into trouble, because they wrote this note and they didn't do all the things that we talk about. And they make little changes and they try to make people make the deal fit. And as a result of that, they end up getting burned in the end because they write a note that has a bunch of scratches and dents. And that we're going to talk about that here as we go on. So I hear it all the time and people go, why not? One of the most brilliant creative financing guys that I know does things 180 degrees opposite of what we do and we teach. Is that wrong or right? Well, it's all personal opinion, but I will tell you this: if you want maximum value for your notes, you need to do the things that we talk about doing. And it's not that, it's just because that's what note buyers want. They demand it. And if you don't get it, it's, you know, just like selling a car. Oh, there's another door ding. Oh, the window's cracked. Oh, you got stain in the back seat. Oh, you haven't, there's no maintenance records. Oh, you know, deduction. So if you don't want to, if you're going to hold the car forever, you don't really care what all that stuff is. But if you're going to hold the note, same different. But I will tell you this, there's a better chance and likelihood that some event will happen at some point in the future that you're going to want to do something. Look, I got free and clear notes and I'm looking at selling a chunk of it off right now because I want to take that capital and go do another investment strategy. Okay. So if I don't want to take a huge discount on it, then I have to done it right to begin with. So anyway, but I think it's what's really, really important here. And I don't know. Let's see if he's on yet. I don't know if Chai's on yet. If not, he just sort of last minute. I'm gonna text him again here. Hopefully,
Going
he can
back to
make
what
it.
you were saying.
If not, I'm just gonna. If not, I'm just gonna jump into it and tell you exactly. He won't be able to defend himself.
No, but what you're saying is even with that the particular note that I said I'm not going to sell, I still structured it exactly how we talk about
Yes.
for the exit. So my intention for this particular note is not to sell because I want the cash flow. Like the cash flow to me is that's what I'm in for that particular investment. But if I did need to sell it, if I did need to partial it, if I did need to leverage it, to use it for collateral, whatever, I don't have any debt or anything. So it gives you opportunities to actually use it for other things. You know, I've used lots of my notes as collateral to go buy other assets, so I didn't have to sell them. There's so much you can do with these assets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this goes back sort of just in business in general. Okay, writing the note and the structuring and creating it and what you want to do with it is no different than your business. And what I mean by that is you should all, in my opinion, everything you and Eric and I talk about is our personal opinion from our experiences. We're not by any shape, fashion, or form telling you should do it because we don't know what your situation is. But I will tell you this, when I started Rylex Capital, my partner, John Montero, he was actually speaking at the Next Hero Summit, by the way. I thought that was interesting. He's a big multifamily guy now. We started this, and our intention from the very beginning was, when we agreed to do partnership, is there's Chuck. So I'll let him in, and I'm gonna finish this up, and we'll bring him on. So what we did is we built a business to sell. Okay. So think of notes as building a business to sell. Okay. We had no intention when we first started the business to sell it. We didn't know that if we would sell it, when we would sell it, but we knew by building the business to sell, it would always incorporate best business practices and put us in a position to sell for maximum value. Well, guess what? Note creation is no different. It's no different. It's doing the right things that put it in the best possible light so you can get maximum value. So with that said, I think Chai is here. Chai, raise your hand, Chai, so I can add you. I can add you to the group. Hey, we got a lot of people on, so I need you. Throw your hand up if you can raise it so I can add you and spotlight you into the group. Let's see here. Where are you?
Sorry,
I'll find you. I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, one sec. I'm trying to. This is my new.
Oh, there you are. I got you right here. Perfect.
Sorry.
I'm gonna add him.
I don't see the hand here. It's
all right. It's in the bottom. I'm gonna let's see. Eric, can you see him? You want to add him?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Add him to the group. All right, cool.
Hey, sorry guys. I was on the other call in the car and just got inside.
No, dude, that's fine. I appreciate you making time to go through this because I think what I want to discuss with the people that are on the group is just a little bit about what you do, what you've done, and talk about specifically the note. Did you find him, Eric? There he is. Perfect. So Chai,
Yeah.
Give us a let's give us a little backdrop of you in relative to you personally in real estate, okay? So I want people to understand the level of competency that you have in what you do. And then I want to talk about the note and how different it can be in the things. There's a lot of people who just, it's funny that since I asked you to be on, I literally got 4 more notes that came in.
Oh,
that
nice.
For people that send it, well, maybe we'll find out, because there's some things that are on there that are just like, okay, we're gonna have to figure this out. Well, so give us a little background, because where are you located? You're in Houston area,
I'm in
right?
Houston, Texas. Yes.
All right, cool. So
Hey,
tell me,
sorry, just one quick question. My partner, I forwarded him the same link. Is that good?
yeah, you should be able to get it. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you can get it. If not, we'll get it to you. You
Okay.
can yeah, do that. Okay, perfect. All right, super. So you're down in the Houston area. So give us a little bit of a background about what you do and then what was intriguing about the creating of the note, right? So just give us a little background about your real estate experience and just a little bit of a backstory.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, guys, for having me on. And I mean, it was great working with Nick in the last maybe 4 weeks, I guess.
About
So
that, yeah.
I started, I mean, I'm originally from India. I came here in 2007, and I was doing same thing every Indian does in India, getting my engineering degree. Came here. I always wanted to start my own business. I come from a very a modest background. My parents are very middle class family from India, and I didn't have a lot of resources to do anything. I started dabbling in real estate back home, which is very different. It involves like politicians and mafia and all kinds of stuff you don't want to deal with. So the easiest and the best thing I could do is to come to America and get my education, which is what I did. But always the end game was to start my own business. I started a couple of businesses that didn't quite go as planned, so I backed out. And then I came across real estate, and I was very naive to go get a house on like MLS and rent it. And my my partner and we thought, okay, this is gonna make us $1,650 in rent, and our payment is $1,750. So we only have to come out of pocket $100, which is great compared to where I come from, where the rents are $300 for the same cost that you pay for the property. For 200,000 property back in India, you make $300 to $400 rent, which is very low. So like fast forward to now, I found the right people who got me in touch with the right mentorships. One of them was Lifestyles Unlimited in Houston, which is where I kind of learned that, oh no, you don't pay out of pocket, you actually put money in your pocket. And then I came across wholesaling, and basically someone showed me, okay, how to do wholesaling. 2015, that's when that was. And I learned about mailers. So I sent 300 mailers, and I got like 5 phone calls. One lady sold me her house. I ended up making $90,000 after like 5 years of holding it and selling it.
And what year was that in?
That was 2015. So
I was going to say, I didn't think it was 2021.
no, absolutely not.
I mean,
So
not get anybody calling you in
for
2021.
$300, I can make $90,000. I was like blown away. Like what is this like? So then I mean, me and my partner, I told my partner, hey, this is like crazy business. We need to get into it. And by that time, it was still 2018. I didn't do that same thing on a scale for 3 years. And 2018, I started wholesaling business. We sent 4,000 mailers, and we got 2 phone calls, not even a deal. So it had gotten so saturated by then that we were just, now we were like, okay, now what do we do? So we came across cold calling, and we did all kinds of stuff. So the reason I'm trying to touch on these like life-changing events that happened around like this business is you have to change your game all the time. And today, I think that game for me is notes. So the reason, like, I mean, maybe 2-3 months ago, I met one of like your students, Nick. I don't know. Is Jackson your student?
Yeah, Jackson's in here.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm part of a bunch of other mentorships that teach different styles of real estate. And I mean, wholesaling is so saturated. Buying from wholesalers is so saturated. There is money on the street, like everywhere. I mean, there is people with money everywhere. So you have to struggle even if you have, I mean, millions of dollars of cash, you have to struggle to get a deal. So what stood out in terms of notes, like when Jackson told me, hey, you can buy a house from a wholesaler at a price higher than anybody else can buy and still make money on a free cash flow. That stuck with me because.
So
I
let
mean-
me ask you a question. So Chai, you're a smart dude, man. You're a smart dude, and you got a lot of practical business experience. I mean, how hard was it for you to take a recommendation or advice from a 22-year-old kid?
I mean, it made sense at that time. Again,
Yeah,
I do a lot of due diligence, but whatever he said, and based on my experience, I know he's telling the truth. Okay, I mean, if I heard that in 2015, I would have said, "Oh, get out of here. That's not real." I mean, it just felt like, I mean, it cannot happen. It would have felt like it cannot happen back in 2015. Like so today I'm gonna employ that strategy more and more. Again, I mean, do I need to talk about the strategy, Nick? Or
No, what I want to, what you're planning on doing. So what I love about your story and what we're talking about here today is that you wholesale.
So my partner is also online. If you want
Okay.
to, Prakash. Yeah.
If he wants to raise his hand, we can add him to this too if he wants to, talk or anything too. So what I love about
Is it Prakash?
Yes.
So
Yes,
what I love about this, for a lot of different reasons, okay? One, you understand wholesaling, okay? Yeah. I asked Eric a question the other day. Has anybody read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? Anybody read that book?
I think I did a little bit.
Oh,
but-
you did not, because there's no such thing.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as the millionaire wholesaler.
No, I'm not sure.
There's
if
no
you-
such thing. Go show me a millionaire wholesaler and I'll show you.
Yeah, I've tried to go through a lot of books.
Yeah.
The
Not
wholesaling.
one. My point is this, is wealth is not built by being a wholesaler. Wealth
Oh.
is not built by being a fix and flipper either. Wealth is built by either buying and holding or being a bank. That's the only way you're gonna get wealth.
Yeah.
So what I was going with this, but you started out doing the buy and hold side of it. And as a result of that, how many properties do you guys hold right now?
So we have anywhere between probably 60 to 63 properties at this.
60, so you have 60 properties being held right now, okay? And what of that portfolio, what percentage of those are you considering converting from being a landlord into being a lien lord, from going from being a landlord to being a
150%, more than 100%. Everything.
100%. As
But I
fast
have-
as you can convert them from being a landlord and by owning it, you're looking at going and converting them into notes. Is that correct?
Yep. So
And
what you
that's
mentioned
great. I
about-
mean, I think there's nothing wrong with being a landlord. There's nothing wrong with people. There's depreciation. There's a lot of benefits of doing it. But we talk about this all the time. I think once you understand that A, you can be the bank, and B, that you are the bank and you can learn how to control, it just changes the whole dynamics. I joke
yeah.
about it all the time, but people that are landlords, the reason why they're landlords is because they don't know how to be a lien lord. They don't know how to be the bank.
Yep.
And once they figure out that that's an option, it's a little bit less stress, a little bit less risk, a little bit less a lot of things, and it's just a personal opinion. So let's talk about.
Hey, Nick,
Yeah.
real quick. So a personal experience. One of my buddies, he's one of the biggest buyers in my one of the top buyers in our market here in Phoenix, and he's still buying like crazy. He's a landlord, so he'll buy to sell, he'll buy to rent, whatever makes sense, right? So he calls me the other day, and he's walking through a property that he'd rented 5 months ago. He's already had to evict that person. He totally renovated it. It was phenomenal. Like this, and then now he was like, how in the world are there live rats in my house in 5 months, and all the trash that they were able to accumulate in such a short amount of time, fully qualified to be a tenant. And literally what happened is he got the government assistance to pay the rent, but somehow it got sent to the tenant. The tenant was able to somehow forge his signature and cash it, and then took all that money. So she's going to probably go to jail. We're not sure yet, but completely 100% trashed the house. It was awful. He was like, I mean, what
Crazy.
he had so my point is the amount of the buyers that we're selling our homes to, okay, they're so happy and so deserving, and it's not that they cannot believe that they're homeowners, okay, not believe that they're tenants. They can't believe they're homeowners, and the chances of them, and it happens, like there are people that have hardships and other issues that happen, drug problems, whatever, that take you as an owner but majority of our borrowers are so solid, the chances of them trashing your property, it's very low. Like the percentages are very low, and that's from personal experience versus
So-
a tenant. That's what I was trying to get at.
So I want to talk about, like, based on, I mean, two things. I mean, what you mentioned about millionaire wholesaler earlier, I confused it with another book. There is a book, but I mean, my point was that I mean, yes, millionaires cannot be made by wholesaling.
Oh, I'm sure you can,
Unless-
but there's
I mean,
not.
no,
I was just making a joke.
unless you are trying to do something like Jamil or someone who is going nationwide, and he spent almost all his life doing that.
That's a business.
Right. So then
That's a business. That's not a,
200 franchise business.
yes.
And then second point, I mean, to continuation to what Eric said is the tenants. And one of the reasons why we gravitated more towards notes is because of tenants issues. Like during COVID, we were ramping up heavily, and like notes was one of the things that came across our like table, and we were reviewing it, and we were like, oh, the market is going so crazy, we need to hold all these properties right now because we want the growth in the appreciation growth that is happening. I mean, sorry, the appreciation that is happening, we want to hold on to all that. That's why we held all the properties during COVID. And one of the things that guaranteed rents is Section 8 tenants. So we put a bunch of Section 8 tenants, but fast forward like 1 year down the road, those Section 8 tenants started to become a big hassle. The money we made from them ended up going back into the property to fix things.
That's why we do single family for notes and multi-family for the appreciation, and you know, if you have 50, 100, 200 under one roof versus 200 properties scattered all over Houston, it's a different business model. So we do,
Well,
I do both. That's what I
but
do.
it really boils down to this. It's a renter's mentality versus an owner's mentality. When
Yeah.
we get an owner, I want to get into the deal that we're going to talk about that you wrote the note on. Okay. How much did you get down? How much down payment did you give us the high level numbers on the deal real quick. What did you buy it for? What did you sell it for? How much did you get down? And then I want to ask you another question.
So that's not a typical deal that we buy, just so you know.
Not a typical deal that you buy. Okay.
Do not buy that kind of deal normally. So this is one of the deals.
It was a damn good deal though. I would buy them all if I could get them.
I mean, now I will. So now the data we have, based on dealing with you guys, now we are going to buy all of it in that area. So the deal came through another wholesaler. So we are at a point where we need to be more focused on managing our money instead of managing a wholesaling business. So we buy properties for ourselves, either flip them or hold them, or now make notes of them. So that time we were not doing notes. I mean, we have few notes, we've done it before, but that's not something that resonated until we figured out a full process recently with one of your students. So this deal was, we purchased, I mean, a wholesaler had it from the owner at 120, 125, and they gave it to us for 135 basically. And they
The
made their,
wholesaler made $15,000 on that.
yeah, 10
I
to
want to say that a
15,000
couple of times. He made,
Yep.
wholesaler made $15,000 one time.
one time. And then
time.
this
And
note,
he went around town trying to sell that deal, but he couldn't find a buyer.
yeah, he could not
Found
find
us-
a
He
buyer.
found you guys as the suckers, is what you're telling me?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
and we were,
We'll show him who
we
the
were
sucker is.
thinking that-
We'll show him who the sucker is in a second, but go ahead.
so we thought we could put that on the market and sell it. I mean, the comps looked really interesting, but it was a mobile home converted into a real property. I mean, all kinds of messy things that we are not really comfortable with. But we just took a risk because we were under the gun from our investors to deploy some money that we had. So we had to like go and make some deals. So we made it happen. And then we put it on the market, I mean, the wholesale off market, to sell it for 160. And then two people showed up. And then, I mean, nobody bought it. So then we were like, okay, now what do we do? And then I remembered the discussion with Jackson. And that's when we decided to put it on the market. And we said, okay, let's try to get an owner finance buyer. If not, we'll just let it go. And sure enough, like the deal, again, just to take one step back, this is a mobile home with a huge garage that is, I mean, built on a concrete slab. And this is on a half-acre lot. So in the owner finance world, land is a big deal. Like I mean, owner finance world works off of mostly Hispanic buyers. Hispanic community values land a lot more than anybody else. So and
Hey,
we
Chai,
didn't-
just curious, do you speak Spanish?
we don't.
You don't
Zero.
speak Spanish? Okay.
We,
I don't
we,
know.
have, we have a Spanish speaking realtor that we recently hired because we
So-
struggle converting.
So
Yeah,
it's not what you know, it's really who you know, is where I was going at this, right?
exactly.
Okay, just want to make sure, because I wasn't sure where we were going with this, because, you know, I'm gonna continue on, because the story gets even better. Because
So
I
we
guess
listed-
where I'm trying to go with this is people have to understand, you gotta take these blocks out of what you guys think. You gotta, when you guys take your own personal opinions out of the structuring of the deals, you'll get a lot more deals done a lot faster. Because once you start thinking about, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that, I'm telling you, all of this stuff can be done. And it not only can it be done, we got 1,000 transactions that say that it is. You guys just need to model that and do exactly what we've done, what Chai's done is going to do with the other 60 houses that he has, what landlords can do over here, what wholesalers should be doing, and everybody else in the middle. So you got this house, and then tell us what happened next. You
So
found
I
it?
think, I mean, Prakash handled all the on-market thing. If you want to talk about like what we listed for and the buyers.
So we went ahead and basically listed on the market, and to my surprise, I was not sure. I thought we might be stuck with the property because mobile home. It was it's much better than a mobile home because it had extensions, couple of rooms added, a garage on foundation, half an acre. I thought, let's see what happens. Worst case, we rented because it was on a well and septic, so the taxes were extremely low. Worst case, we'll at least owner finance. But to my surprise, we had 6 offers in the first week. 4 of them were owner finance.
And were you
and-
marketing owner financing at this time, or they ask you if you would sell it?
Yes, yes.
No, we
You were marketing it for owner, right? Okay.
on
good.
Houston MLS, there is an option for owner finance.
Yes,
Because-
most MLSs do. What happens especially in Texas and some other states, sometimes they'll let you put in the description, the public description, that you can owner finance. Most of the time, that is restricted to private remarks, but that's what you can get a realtor. As long as you're paying the realtor, they'll go find you whatever you want. And if you tell them, You want somebody that can do cartwheels in the front yard and jump up and down and go find them, as long as they're going to get paid to do it. So
So on Houston MLS on HAR, see, we cannot add the word finance. So I don't know.
cannot.
Yeah, you cannot. It's just
you
crazy.
can't
But
in the public remarks, the forward facing remarks, because that's what gets posted over to like Zillow and realtor.com and stuff like that with IDX. You can't do that. So you have to put it in the private remarks, but that's why you probably had a realtor find you the buyers. I'm guessing.
no, this is the one I personally listed to see how it goes. And to our surprise, we got 6 offers, 4 owner finance, all of them strong, and we picked the best one. So we are all in around 135.
Okay.
We listed for 240.
240.
240, and then we had
How much rehab, and how much rehab did you do on this?
No, nothing. We
What?
didn't even clean.
Wait a second. You didn't know? That's not possible. How did you guys?
No, it was clean. The house. It
No,
had
it couldn't have been clean.
it
be
had
clean.
a trash can and a back
Trash
seat in
can?
one of the room, and it was still there when we sold it. We didn't do
You
nothing.
didn't even take the trash can out. You just left it there.
I didn't notice it, to be honest. We did the yard, so
What kind of
that's like
operation you guys
$200.
running over there, man? I'm just teasing you. I would have done the same damn thing. That's the point I'm
Yeah.
making.
We
Okay.
did the yard. We had like yard done 3 times, so that's like around $150, $200.
That's $180. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the deal, because really, the reason I wanted you guys on here isn't about what you just did. Okay. Because in all honesty, that's the easy part, in my opinion. Okay. People may not think it's easy because they haven't been able to wrap their hands around and actually do it. Okay. But you guys have. What it boils down to is, now that you find that buyer, and then we have to go do the back end process, because I think on this particular deal, you guys only wrote one note, right? Because you just wanted to sort of test it out, and you didn't want to
Yeah,
stay in
in
it
this
long
one,
term.
we did only one note.
We
Yes.
regretted that bit, but anyways, it was already done, so we kind of
Right.
moved on.
So when you were already sort of in the process of doing this before you actually came across us and we said stop or do something different, correct?
And by the time by the time we did that deal, we had already done one before.
You
Just
did.
based on that one
You're
conversation.
holding that note right
We are
now.
holding that for now, yeah.
That was, I think
Do
we
you want
did
me to
like
give you,
3
do you want me to
years
give you a
ago.
bid on that? You want me to give you a bid on it and see how?
I think I already have a bid and we are considering it. We just haven't got to it yet.
All right, good. So look, you started the process and you did a couple things very, very well. In fact, I will tell you this, of all the notes that we look at, or I look at, your note that you attempted to write on the first pass, I would say was probably in the top 10% of notes that I look at. It was very close to being what we'd want to see. Okay. But even that said, as you well know, these are the things that we noted that we cured all these, and we had time to cure them because of the timing and what they were. But a lot of times we cannot go fix certain things, because once you close and you write a note and you do certain things relative to the note, for example, interest rate. Okay. Let's rewind 2 years ago when rates were 3, and you go, well, you know what? I'm only going to charge 6% instead of the 9.5 or whatever you chose to charge. That would crush the price because of the yield, right? Note investors buy on yield. Okay, that's what they look at. But here are the things that we found. And if you weren't able to change these, and we were able to get them all changed to get us premium pricing, it would have been an additional 3 points less than what you sold it for. Okay. So for example, what was the value of the note? 150,000.
65.
165. So 3% off of the 165 is what, right about $5,000, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the little things that we missed, or you missed, when we did it. And these are the reasons why we highly, highly recommend using the transaction management function to make sure that these little things don't get missed when we do the underwriting, because it's a lot easier to fix something before the note's written and closed than after. So and none of these sound like a big deal on paper, and they weren't, because we fixed them. The insurance does not name the lien holder. Okay, that was what was one. Okay, that's important to have the lien holder named
Yep.
on the insurance. Would you agree?
Yep.
It was just an oversight, probably, right? But if you don't, a lot of these things.
So they had our name on the,
Yeah.
on the, but they didn't have August REI on it.
Yeah, we want so what we like to see, and this is the reason why, because if you're going to hold this note forever, not a big deal, but you're not holding the note forever. So by putting the servicer on as the mortgagee, they have a fiduciary responsibility to us as the investor, as the bank, because they're doing. We want them on there. I want them on there because they are a representative of me. They can handle anything and everything relative to, escrows or anything relative to insurance claims, all that stuff. Not a big deal. But what would have happened is that we would have to spend time and money to change all that over, which guess what that means? You're paying for it because it's going to become a lower purchase price that we're going to offer, right? All these little things add up. So if my attorney's $500 an hour and it's going to cost me $500 to redraft and put the substitution trustee in there or whatever it is that goes in there and make these little changes, $500. Okay. That's part of that 5,000 we're talking about. Not a big deal, not a deal killer. It's just an expense. Warranty describe the vendor's lien. Okay. Now this is not a big deal, but it's definitely not best business practice. But we got that fixed. Okay. The title commitment showed owners as two companies, but the warranty deed showed only one company. Okay. Now we got that fixed.
Yep.
But again, we got it fixed right away. Whereas if this would have happened 5 years ago and you wanted to sell that, because what you're not going to be able to do without a lot of issue is go back to the buyer of your property after they already own them and get them to really do anything. Now, they are required by law to do certain things because that's what they sign when they sign. If there's a Scrivener's error or something like that, they got to fix it. It's required. Okay. But just because they're required to do something and just because they do something may be two different things.
And we saw that we missed it and we had to go back and it was a pain in the butt, like
pain in the ass. Because look, I don't know how much.
Hey, Nick, real quick, can you re-explain what happened there? Because there was two names, one name and then
two company names. They have two company names on the
as the beneficiary.
on the title commitment, right, as the owners, but when the warranty deed only showed one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we got it from a wholesaler, so there were two contracts. One was actual contract and assignment. So both LLC names were on the title commitment.
Yeah.
It was the title company who did not take out the first name
Yeah.
when we closed it the first time.
But this and about 1,000 other things happen all the time.
Yeah.
Is the point. And if you don't know, or you don't have somebody on your side that understands what should or shouldn't be there,
Yeah.
it causes a problem in the future and it magnifies it as we go on. So, and let me say on all this stuff right here, when you use the transaction coordinator, 99.9% of the stuff is eliminated and not ever an issue because of the protocol and the process that go into it. Because guess what we're going to do? We're going to write the promissory notes. And guess what the promissory notes are going to be? We're going to create all the lender docs on behalf of you as the lender. We're not going to rely on some title company attorney to write the promissory note because there's a big difference between writing something that's legally binding and writing something that's in the benefit of the bank. Okay. They're different. Okay. That's why when doing the little things that we're talking about are going to save us time down the road. But and all these things, we don't have to worry about any of these if we're using we don't have to worry about any of this stuff if we're using the transaction coordinator. I want to make sure so people, you don't have to be taking notes on all this stuff. Oh my God, I didn't check the warranty deed. It's already being done. It's the whole point.
It's good
the
to have
back
the
end of
notes
the
so to
mobile
ask
home.
the question, just to know what questions to ask if it's not, you know what I mean?
Well, there
That's how-
again, that's what we're talking about. So if you want to, yes, well, in the vault, there's copies of every document from the acquisition, the disposition. There's a document of multiple transactions. You can take and you can replicate any of those documents and make sure the verbiage is correct. The key is in the promissory note and the way they're written and how they're structured. But let me get through the rest of these because they're not, the point is I'm making that these are really pretty small. Honestly, if you want to know my opinion, relative to the some of the stuff that could be big, but these little bitty things are still worth about $5,000, and all of them that I can tell would have been caught through the process at the time that we would have got the borrower file back from underwriting and we seen the title commitment. Because the title commitment, for example, never showed this as being real property. Is that correct?
Yep. I mean, it
It
was
did-
not even recorded.
Wasn't recorded. So what did we have to do after the fact?
Go
We had to go
get,
back to the title company. And what did you have to do?
go to the buyer, get an appointment, track them down. I mean, that happened actually. We had to
know
go
it
get
does.
them to sign the first payment letter, and then we had to get them to sign.
After you'd already closed with the buyer. You were really, really lucky because a lot of times buyers will not, they're hard. Some people work, some people
Most of
don't.
the times you are dealing with a very unsophisticated buyer in general, because, and they are very, I mean, it's culturally different. They are scared of things. They don't want to come out and just, I mean, if you ask them for a signature, they think they're signing their life away.
100%. That's
Yeah,
why
we-
it's so important to take care of all of that. In my opinion, at one time, at a physical location like a title company, the attorney's there, they're in an office, they're in a building, they can see everything. And all of a sudden, they get a phone call after they've already bought the house. Hey, I need you to sign this. Well, no, I would run a red flag up myself too. Well, why didn't you, first question, well, why didn't you have me sign it before if that was what you needed me to do? Always screwed up. Well, now you're having to deal with damage control, and it's just not something that we want to do if we don't have to, because at the end of the day, it costs you time. It costs you money, because if you're spending time going and fixing all these little frivolous problems that are frivolous to you and me, but they're not frivolous when you write a 30-year mortgage and somebody's going to get paid on that and they're putting money out to control that property, I can promise you they're going to want all the T's crossed and I's dotted, and you should too. Because when you go and the next ones you do and you start writing second notes and you stay in the deal and sell the first, keep the second, that's going to protect that interest as well. So a couple of things. So there was not there was no this is important. There was not any loan servicing. It was not a loan servicing setup package done at the time of closing as well, right?
Yeah.
Really
another-
important.
Very important one is the note was created in the wrong entity name.
There again, all that stuff. goes
Luckily,
hand in
they were
hand.
both our entities, but selling it would have been difficult with wrong entity name on it compared to the warranty deed.
Yeah, we want that loan servicing package. A lot of people don't do this, but this is what we do. We have our title company administer the loan servicing package at the time of closing. Okay, most people do it after the fact. Okay, it's part of the borrower's package, a closing package. It's also part of the seller's package too. So they get not nearly, seller's always going to fill out the lender documentation because that's how they're going to get paid. But try to add it after the fact to the buyer. Okay, it's hard. They're already there. So they sign another 12 pages. Big deal. They're excited to sign them at the closing because they know they're going to get the keys to the house, right? So they're okay with it then. But to your point, you show up knocking on the door a week later, hey, they can't send you the payment letter, blah, 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 blah. It makes things extremely difficult. Ask me how we know this, because we screwed it up hundreds and hundreds of deals ago. And even, the title company sometimes forgets to put it in there. So we've had that happen too, where the title company forgets to put the servicing docs in there, but hopefully we catch it soon enough and we see it when we do the documents. We talked about this already. The title committee didn't reference the mobile home as person, didn't reference the title commitment didn't reference the home as personal property.
as a
That-
real
that-
property.
And so that's when we had to do the real property. We
Yeah.
don't, do we even know why it didn't references it? It was personal property. Do we know
Yeah.
why it didn't show up in the title commitment as personal property? Did we ever find that out? I'm just curious.
I can't remember, yeah, but they
Doesn't
changed,
matter.
they had to change.
Doesn't
it later.
matter. What we needed to say is, that's how we had to go do the thing. So,
Because the title company, again, I don't know which title company do you guys use, or whichever is fine.
we use Tiago Title in the state of Texas. Outside of the state of Texas, there's other title companies and attorneys that get used that are state specific.
And
In
I felt like Fidelity was a little bit confused in terms of title insurance a lot. I mean, what to put on title commitment in order to get them to issue title commitment.
So what
so-
happened, so what we do, and so it's real, here's how we do it, for example, in this deal in Texas. So when that comes in, so let's say the next deal that you do, okay? You go find a property, you find a good deal, you find a buyer, okay? And now we're ready to say, okay, here's the contract, here is the terms of the deal, and now the buyer's gonna go to underwriting. We're also gonna request a copy of the title commitment. Okay, and our attorneys will review that title commitment so that when we get down to the time of closing this deal, we're not caught by surprise when the new title commitment comes back. Because remember, we're gonna have to pull another title commitment, right? You have a title commitment when you bought it. Hopefully you have a title policy. Did you have a title policy when you bought this? Or
Yeah.
no? You did?
Yeah.
Okay, the title policies don't, a lot of stuff doesn't get cleared, and a lot of things that can go sideways. So we now have, so the title attorney who owns the Tiago title, they do an initial review on all of the stuff that we do. In fact, they also will review the title commitment from when we buy. Okay, so if you know that you're going to buy a property and turn around and sell or finance it, even if you buy it through Chicago Title, when you get that title commitment, what we'll do is we can take that title commitment, we'll send it over for internal review with Tiago Title, for example. They will review it and make sure that everything is cleared to their satisfaction before you close on the first transaction. Okay, really important, because if you're buying these houses and you're not fixing them, okay, and you buy something and you're going to turn around and do this model, you're probably not going to be in these houses more than 60 days. So
Yes.
sometimes titles didn't even get updated that quick. So really important that we have that communication. So these are all little nitpicky things. Okay, I will tell you right now, in the grand scheme of things, these are extremely nitpicky, but they all have an impact on the note value. And we calculated it to be about a 3%. About a 3%. If you would have said, Nick, I don't want to do any of this stuff, I just want to sell the note, give me what you can, you would have got 3% less than you did. You said, well, I can fix this, and you did it. And so in lieu of the extra $5,000 that you basically got for the sale of the note, because we bought the note, the question becomes, was that the highest and best use of your time to fix all those issues, right? And
Yeah.
then the next question is, did you think, based on those 7 or 8 items, did you think it would take you as long as it took you to get them resolved? That's my question.
I think it took me as long as it takes to get new deals or more.
Yeah, that's exactly what, I couldn't say any better, because that's exactly why I don't do any of this stuff on the back end, because I'll just go do another deal.
Yeah.
And
this
another
made me
deal to
90
you
grand, and that time made me $5,000.
And this was just one, right? If we do these mistakes in multiple nodes,
Yeah. I mean,
No,
you
we
are,
already know, yeah, we already know what the national average is on this stuff. On a $150,000 note, you're looking at somewhere between 7 to 10% of a premium
yeah,
by following it. But, there again, I always say, but it only cost you, if the transaction fee, depending on where it is and how much work gets done, is somewhere between $900 and $1,500. Okay. But I can promise you the $900 to $1,500 is not really a profit center. What it does is to protect you and protect me as the note buyer. protects you, so you don't have to go waste that time. Because the worst thing that can happen is you do something catastrophic into creating the note, and now that note value is only worth 80 cents on the dollar. All
Yeah.
right. And if you have hard money on it for some reason, or you have a note that's calling due or something like that, now you got a situation you got to try to resolve. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we do it. And so, because here's the other thing, if we're going to buy a note, we just assume know what's going into it from the beginning. So I don't have to go look at it again. Just like all that time we had to spend a bunch of time on our side of it. We were happy to do it because we know where this was going to go to. When you created that note, we had to go review every stinking one of those documents because we didn't know who wrote the promissory notes. We didn't see the lender servicing agreements, warranty, all that paperwork. We had to go review all those documents. So at the end of the day, we just, it's not worth the time at the end of that, to be quite honest with you. So by using the transaction coordinator, using all the people in the back end of the process to help you create the best possible, because here's the thing, if you choose to take the note after it's created and go sell it someplace else, good for you. You can get more money selling it on the street somewhere else, and you want to put that time and effort into go and finding that buyer, cool. I want everybody to get maximum value for the note. At least you're going to get it because you did the right things. But we're pretty confident in the way that we structure these notes, that because we're looking at them, we're going to buy them, we know what needs to be in them. We're not going to get beat out on our note offer very often. But if we do, it's okay. There's plenty of them. $28 billion worth that's been created. We can just go teach some of those people how to write notes correctly and buy them. So moving forward as you go down this, is your intention is just use whatever the appropriate transaction management team is to help you do these deals. Is that correct?
Yeah, so our goal at this time is convert most of our inventory, most of our houses into a owner finance model. And a lot of these houses have conventional liens on them. Back when we were in W2, we used up all our conventional liens. So those we will not be selling, but most of the future looking, forward looking deals, we are talking to you, Nick. I mean, you already know about the Conroe deal, and a couple of them got buyers in the last.
Hey, Chai, real quick, what would be your fear on selling those and keeping that? You got good solid debt in place, right?
Yeah, we have like
so if you what would I just had this discussion earlier today about if you sold those houses and took the cost of your debt, just the principal and interest, and what the cash flow would be if you sold them and kept them in place, just the arbitrage play, what would the difference be between the cash flow of a note and the cash flow, because you're selling it for market value, right?
Yeah.
And the cash flow that you would be making on a note, as the landlord, what would the difference be, do you think?
I think
crazy.
I think I did a rough math last month.
Okay.
I think our cash flow now is at 25,000. I think if we converted all those, I think that will go upwards of 70. It's
okay, because you're eliminating taxes, insurance, maintenance, everything.
And we are talking about all those properties that we bought at $150,000. They are now worth close to, almost double.
But we're just talking cash flow. We're not talking the cash that you're going to get on the down payment either.
And if you sell that's
so and I know Nick doesn't love to, because there's risk with that. But so what we were talking about, if you do create a first and second, and you just wrap it over your existing lien, and if that lien, I'm assuming, is a commercial, because I have the same thing. I've got loans on multiple properties from one lender that just cross collateralized them, and I just did a big loan on a bunch of properties. I can, and this is my opinion, I can promise you they would. Okay, the chances of them calling that note due because of what I did would be because it's already sold in Wall Street somewhere. it's gone. Like they don't even know. They just want the payment, right? So my point is, if you create a first and second, and you did what we're talking about with those, your cash flow would triple. You added $50,000 to your 45,000 to your cash flow. The risk versus reward of the note being called due would be, because you create a first and second, God forbid one of them or some of them get called due, just go sell the dang note.
Yeah, just write the note.
Cash
That's
flow
what
would
you
be
have to do.
so, just go sell the first lien.
I'm not
Yeah,
worried about, I'm not
nothing-
really
nothing
concerned
to
about,
cash.
the only question I have on those notes that you, on the loans that you have out right now, is it a portfolio loan or are they all individual loans for each property?
2 portfolio loans. And
Two
then
portfolio loans?
2 portfolio loans
Yeah.
and then rest of them are individual.
Yeah.
So when you sell off one in the portfolio, do they release it for you?
We
You
have
know?
not looked
You
into it.
haven't tried that yet and see what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Well, no, they're not.
We
They're
don't
not.
want to.
There's nothing to release because you're not paying them off.
No,
Yeah.
well, no, I'm saying,
No, so-
I'm asking if you do, I mean, what happens when you want to sell one of those
Take the
properties
port-
outside the portfolio?
No, so
There's a
breaking the
prepayment
portfolio
penalty,
is
right?
a big pain in the butt for them. I mean, the amount of paperwork that got into making the portfolio happen, I can only imagine what will happen if we try to drop one off. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, nah, we don't want to.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We have one of the portfolios,
cool.
3.6%.
For
So try and-
45,000 a month, it might be worth testing it. I don't know.
I know, how long,
I'm
you-
not good with math, but
there's
that's pretty good.
but there's definitely a maturity date on that stuff. I mean, there's maybe a penalty of some type, but, they don't,
Mine did. I did a portfolio deal and it was like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or something. It was because they wanted a prepayment penalty. And I knew that I knew what I was going to do. So obviously, but even if I did pay the prepay, the appreciation was so big, I didn't really care. And I love that and I got a 30-year fixed debt note on it with no, so those
We're
loans you
definitely-
got are really valuable. That's for sure.
So we are definitely going to go that route. We have plenty of other properties that we can wrap before
Sure.
we dig into our portfolio.
Yeah.
They're all rented, decent cash flows. We actually put 2 under contract last week.
Okay.
nice. Hey, guys,
Cool.
thanks for
Yeah.
joining. I hope that, I mean, I hope people got value having you guys on. I mean, I could talk about this stuff all day long, but it's so much better when we have people that are actually doing it and really showing that you can make mistakes and when you think that you know what you're doing. We make mistakes too, but we want to mitigate these mistakes to get the most bang for our buck. So let me you guys anything else going? You guys can stay on if you want or hop on off if you don't. I'm sure I just cost you probably at least getting one deal, right? So I don't want you to hold that against me.
Oh,
When you go
I'm
find
sure
another deal.
we're making good connections here that'll pay off later. Thank you,
Hey,
guys.
hey, real quick, so you guys are in Houston. I'll just shout this out. I mean, are you guys looking, do you need help with anything down there? Houston's is a great market.
We are looking to collaborate every day. I mean, if anybody wants to reach out to us, our email is info@stepuphomebuyers.com.
Yeah, throw it in the chat.
Just put it in the chat. Yep.
Just put it in the chat and then we'll post it in the Facebook group too. Yeah, guys, I mean, if you're trying to do stuff, these guys obviously, you guys got access to capital, right? You still got capital you're trying to raise and deploy, right? Are you in the process of putting a fund or something together as well, or just
So
raising?
we already have a private fund, so we call it a liquid fund. So most of our investors get an interest. Nobody's part of the company. So everything that we own is just me and Prakash. And we have our side, like small investments on the side we do. But mostly everything that we have is, our fund is a liquid fund. If people have money in the bank account just rotting, might as well put it to good use. We pay anywhere between 6 to 8% on that.
So, hey, real quick, that's a good, I love, so your liquid fund, you have, ABC LLC has 50 assets in it, let's say. So the
Yeah.
liquid fund would lend money to that entity and that entity, it's secured by the LLC and whatever assets that you're holding, correct?
Yeah,
So you can take let's say it's $1 million from
Yeah.
10 different people. They tie it to that entity
Yeah.
through a UC, is it UC1 filing? Is that what you call it? Do you do filings like that, or is it just?
we usually give people collateral as a note on an individual property. We don't
Oh,
take.
okay, okay.
So that's typically the first time. I think 80% of our money right now is not even collateral because they come from our oil and gas background. You know, they all make good money. They have a couple of $100,000 always in the bank, not doing anything. So some of them, when we start, we give them collateral as a property, but after that, it just, you know.
So you sign like a personal note, you give them 6 to 8%, you pay them out either quarterly, monthly, annually,
We do monthly
auto
payments.
payment,
monthly payment. Okay, interest
Yeah,
only.
Yeah, interest only.
Yeah, good. No, that's great. I mean,
This fund is for people who have some extra cash or people who are lazy, not really looking to make a killing on their investment. What you guys teach is what people should go after if you want to build wealth. So I think
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. I'll send you the gift card after we finish.
yeah.
no,
No, but
no,
back
Thank
to
you very
the,
much.
so everyone on the call here, there's new investors that maybe done a few deals and haven't raised a lot of private capital. But the majority of my private capital comes from not people that are real estate investors. They're working professionals. They're, you know, it could be whatever they're doing. They have idle cash sitting there and they're not getting paid anything. So why not put it into a real estate asset at a fair rate of return, which is typically 6 to 8 times what your savings account will pay you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just let it roll for a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, like that. So those are the people you're going to talk to about what you do and how you secure their money, as well as give them a monthly return on their investment, right?
So
that
just
is
one
what
quick-
exactly we do. You know, we pitch people, hey, use us as a parking spot and let us know if you need the money back, right? Typically, we
45
we
days.
tell them we can give them back money in 45 days, right? All we gotta do is refinance.
We have enough people
Last-
in queue to put, replace
In the
their.
last 3 years, nobody has come back and asked us for money. People tend to get lazy.
They get mad. They get mad when you tell them you're going to give them your money back.
100%.
Exactly. That has
What are you
happened
doing?
before.
They just want to know they're going to get paid, and once they start getting paid, the last thing they want you to do is give them all their money back. That's my typical experience.
I love the name Liquid Fund. I love that. I put that in the chat. It's
All right,
good.
hey, guys, go back, go find another deal. You when you get ready to do those other ones, we'll get you all set up and get all this stuff through. And then what we'll do is after you do those next 2 deals, we'll bring you back in again and see how much easier it was on you guys, and how many more deals you're able to do with that extra time. So thanks for doing that, man.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys
it.
for
All
bringing
right,
us
take
on.
care. Hey, I'm going to be in Houston in a couple weeks, so hopefully our schedules allow us to.
Yeah, we are here for at least a month. Like we've been traveling during summer, so
Yeah,
gotta get work.
yeah, perfect. All right, guys, have a good one.
Thank you,
Thanks for
guys.
that.
Say it
See you
again.
guys.
I see you. So, what's interesting about that, Eric, is that, this is I think with, this is why we talk about this stuff, why we bring other people in, and, why that people that really want to do other things, maybe you do something with the coaching and things like that, because it's not worth, you just got to figure out one thing that you want to do or you like to do and go figure out how to be the best at doing it, and then figure out how to get the rest of it, done on your behalf. I mean, we always say it's the who, not the how, right? So the who is the back end, the who are the coaches, the who are the people that can help you do the stuff that you just don't, maybe want to do or have the confidence in doing as you first start out.
No, you're right. No, I mean, for me, I just enjoy having these conversations when the light bulb goes off, like it did with me and you, when you were, acquiring assets and then creating the paper and then figuring out the need that's in the market for what we do, for just for the general public and the people that we're selling homes to that are deserving homeowners, and buyers. For that matter, so.
So I'm going to bring I hope that was helpful. So I'm gonna bring on Kinley here in a second, because I literally just said, hey, come on, I want to break down this deal that he's bringing in and just talk about it. But I want to just go through a couple of things that I found information wise.
Also, yeah, put in the chat if you guys think that was a good interview, if that was helpful for you guys, you know, just in regards, just getting some confidence that the opportunities are there.
So I was reviewing, I pulled up this is one of probably the largest note buyers / brokers, not only in Texas, probably in the whole United States. They may be the largest. And I was just looking at some of their criteria and some of their information on here. I just want to read a couple of things on here that I thought were sort of interesting. Okay. Go to this next page here. I have this little matrix. So they will pay on a 20% minimum down. Okay. First lien only with no score or I-10. They'll do 80. They'll take an 80% first lien, and they'll give you 84% of that note. Okay, so let's just do the chai example real quick. What's 84% of 165?
138, 139.
And what's 92% of 165?
And that's what we paid, right?
Yeah.
151.
What's basically 8%. So they're just saying right off the bat,
it's 13,000, 12, almost a $13,000 difference.
Okay, that's number one. Interesting. So interesting looking at it, they have a breakdown for single family residence owner occupied, first lien with second lien retained by seller. Interesting. Sort of what we teach and what we do. Let's see what the difference is on this. So based on the same thing, their buy price goes up 2 points. It's the only value you get.
82%?
No, it goes to 86%.
Oh.
So they give you a premium of 2 points
Of
by
the
staying
first
in the deal.
of the first lien.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. not
They
bad.
look at it as a value that the
But
investor stays in the
it is
deal.
a value. That's what we've been saying all along.
No,
It is
I
a
know
value.
what it is. I'm just saying they
Yeah.
think it's a value, so that's even better.
And these guys are not originators. So, I mean, and this is probably literally one of the largest note buyers that I know of. And a lot of people may already know them, but I have not seen anybody that comes even remotely close to paying anywhere remotely close to the numbers. And it's because we know what the true value is. And the reason why most of them do this, I'm telling you right now, is because of the amount of work it takes to go and validate the file. That's attorneys are not cheap. And when you have to have somebody, this is where problems happen when people when people want to buy notes. They don't know what they're looking for, and they don't understand what the due diligence file looks like, and all those documents that get stacked in the files. That's the most critical, that tells the whole story. And if we have to go look at all those files, because we want to have custody of the files. What I mean by that is that once that gets turned over to the title company, the servicer, the underwriter, and the transaction management team, we control that process. Guess what we don't have to do again? We don't have to go look at every document that's been written.
Why? Hey, why is that?
Because we wrote them.
That's right. Because we wrote the document.
Even if we write them on your behalf, we still wrote them. So when we go to buy them, guess what we don't have to do? Go review all the damn documents. You know how expensive it is to review a set of documents? I mean, it's not a 30-minute review, I can promise you.
That's why the note creation
right
strategy, as you build your buyers list and you're in buying existing properties, whatever, it's so it's just so scalable,
Yeah.
Especially when let's just say we're not your note buyer, but you find another note buyer, private investor, however you want to call it, and you're handing them basically a passive return with all the documents that have been written the same way every single time. So it's kind of rinse and repeat. When you go buy pools and pools and pools of assets, which we've done, it's it's so labor intensive, and that's why we do it this way. We still do that, but not as often as we would do these, because we like the story that an existing note, you know, that when it's created correctly in the processes that go into that. So
A couple more things, and I want to get the Kenley here in a second. So since about 2016, well, we know that the seller carry market is $28 billion. Okay. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. And I'm going to guess it's going to hit 30 billion in 2022. Okay. Just over a little over 5 years, the residential volume has doubled. It was about $8 billion, 2016, 17. It's almost $15 billion now. It's almost double. That means more people are writing seller finance notes. I think it's important. Now, there's other things they write on. They write on commercial, businesses, land, stuff like that. But I mean, people have been writing seller financing for hundreds of years. This is not some new concept.
well, I told you this story. So I had my grandmother passed away 6-8 months ago. She's 97 years old. Our family had an estate, and we're going through all this stuff, and we're being asked all these questions, and they're sending us all this stuff. And I've known my grandparents were very, very successful in regards to just real estate and business and whatever. And so sure enough, I'm like, and they own this farm that they purchased years and years and years ago. I feel like it was 1946. They bought the farm on terms with a partner. They each put $6,000 down on this farm, and they seller financed it back in 1946. I think I know I'm pretty close, because I actually went and did the research. I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, I actually was bred to do this. I didn't even know it. No, I actually did know it, but because I wasn't old enough when my grandfather passed away to actually have these sophisticated conversations at the time when he was still healthy enough to do it. And then my grandmother, I wasn't able to be around her as much as I wanted to. My point is like, it's been in existence forever, and it keeps evolving. And so I don't know, they own that farm forever. Like, gosh, in the late 90s, they ended up selling it. But anyway, that was kind of a cool.
So two more things real quick before I get Kenley on. So the top states, we talk about this all the time, but I think it's real important to say it again. The number one state by a landslide is Texas. Almost 25% of all the seller carry, which is good because it's a big state. So that's a good thing. Then number two is California. Please don't bring me any deals in California. I will not be able to help you. I would be able to help you. I just will choose not to. So maybe Eric can do that, because to what Chai was saying earlier is that I can go do 10 more deals in the amount of time it's going to take me to try to figure out how to do one California deal. It's just not worth it. Then after that, you got Florida. They do about 10%, which is, Florida's a great state. Then after Florida is North Carolina, followed by Arizona, Georgia, state of Washington. Really odd. I don't understand why that is the case, but it is. And then the other one I think is going to go make a big jump up the list, which is a great state for seller financing, is Tennessee. Tennessee is a really, really good state too. So anyway, those are just some numbers. Let me see if they have anything else. I think that was it. Oh, this is an interesting stat too. The number continues to grow. Of all that paper that's created, about 85% of it is created by individuals that only do one deal. Another about 10% are people or companies or individuals that do 2 to 3 deals. And then only 7% of all the $28 billion of paper that's created, not named Wells Fargo, Bank of America, are created that do more than 4 deals, which are like the people that are on this call in this group. That's it. What did I say that was? 9%? Was that what was the number? Yeah, 9%. That's it. Pretty small percentage as all things considered. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get to Kenley, because he's trying to close the deal. If you can unmute yourself and then spotlight him, Eric, that would be cool. And let's get right into it. You there, Kenley? I see you.
I'm
There-
trying to find.
He's at the ask to mute. There you go. Let's see. Ask to
Can you
mute.
guys hear?
Yeah, there you are.
Oh,
What's
here
up,
you
man?
go.
How are you?
Said the host muted me. Doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, well, no, no.
I
and don't
can
think
I
we've
can
ever-
put you in the, I can spotlight you, but you gotta be, I think you have to be on video to spotlight based off
Can
my.
can you video or not? If not, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm on video.
Oh, there we go.
All right, cool. So I get, so just. So interesting. I don't know, did you send me a? We never even talked before, and this is the first time we've literally had a conversation. And I know we had talked earlier by text on another deal before, I think. Maybe not. Maybe this is the. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we met at in
Met at
Austin at
the-
that sub 2 meetup.
Oh
later.
yeah, we met at the
Yeah.
meetup in Austin. Yes, I remember that. You
Yes, sir.
because you're up in the Temple area or somewhere in Central Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So you sent me over. Yeah. So you started working on a note, right? Now, were you trying? So you can help give us a little bit of background on it because you sent some of the stuff over. I had some questions and some concerns, and I said, wait, let's have a conversation because once you sign those documents with the buyer, it's going to make things extremely difficult. We're trying to get you the number that you want. And I came back and said, based on this, I think we're about 3 or 4 points off again because your situation is a little bit less desirable than what we talked about with Chai. So were you intending, so you did all this stuff on your own, but how did you picked the title company, you got the underwriter correct, or one of the underwriters, which was good, that helps. But who helped you, or what were your thought process? Because I don't think you had a lot to do with us, because if you did, you probably wouldn't have done some of the things you did. So how did you learn this, or what were you trying to do? Just give us a little bit of background on what you were trying to accomplish and how you determined how you were going to do what you decided to do.
So I've sold many houses on owner finance, just only doing one note, right? And then since the market has shifted and things are sitting on market longer than usual, I kind of, decided to create two notes. I had heard about it before. I could be lying, but I believe I heard something along the lines from Dan Cito out in San Antonio. And, I just thought, man, if I could just wipe out basically my private lender and keep the second for cash flow and still get a down payment, it'll be essentially the same thing that I was going to make profit anyway. And then come to realize that, no, I did not involve you guys. I kind of just did a lot of this stuff on my own. And I realized where I messed up now.
Well, it's not that
and
you
basically
messed
my
up. Okay, I want to make sure we clarify that. It's not that you messed up. It's just that you just didn't give yourself as good of an opportunity to get as maximum value on it as possible. So, like you haven't even seen you didn't even use the deal or no deal modeling software, right? You didn't even know that existed, right?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
get a
sir.
copy and learn how to use it because that'll change things pretty easily. We got the underwriter correct. Servicer's wrong. We can fix that. Title company, it's not a deal breaker, but more importantly is the creating of the lender documents really, really important. So, but you came up with what was interesting. I don't have the number here in front of me. You wrote a first and a second lien, which is good. How did you come up with the dollar value of the? Yeah, I'm gonna write on this note. What was the sale price on the property? You sold it. I know we had some issues.
Total
Value. What'd you sell it for?
Total price is 165 with 10% down, so 16,500 down.
Okay.
The first note is 132,000,
Okay.
and my idea was to sell that at 90% and
Okay.
pay off the underlying lien of 118.
So your underlying
the
debt's
second-
118.
Yes, sir. And the second note was also 16,500 that I was going to keep for cash flow.
Gotcha. 16,000 a second. And then, but you wrote the first lien at 9%, and the second lien you wrote at 14.68.
975.
And is that because that was the maximum allowable when the underwriter, the RMLO, looked at it relative to APOR plus 6.5?
So-
Is that, how did you come up with that interest rate?
So I did the overall, before I was gonna create a second note was 9.7. And then the way I structured it was first note, sell it off at 9%. I don't know if I could have messed something up there. That's the way I kind of understood it from what I was reading.
Yeah, so
And then the
the short answer is no, you didn't mess anything up. But I don't know what I didn't see the file. What was the overall APO, the APR to the buyer when you had, because your second lien is a small percentage. So even at that higher interest rate, it's not gonna go up too much. Were they over 10? Were they right about 10? Do you know?
I'd be lying to you if I
Okay. I would imagine if you use Texas Pride Lending, which are very good at what they do, they would have probably told you if it was a non-QM loan. I don't believe that it is, so you're okay there. So
on the second note, no, it's not QM.
well, it doesn't matter on the second because they're going to combine the two of them together anyway. They're going to look at the
Yeah,
overall
at the-
payment. I mean, you could write a 7% first and write a 42%, 10% second, and you probably would still be okay because it's the blended average and what it comes out to be. So a couple of things, and then I sent you back. I'm trying to find out what I sent you back here. What were the other issues that we had relative to the deal? Do you remember what I'm trying to look for it here?
The value, you determined the value.
Oh
was
yeah, the value
135.
was enough. So that was part of it. So you sold it at 132 over 165. 165. So that's an 80% first, okay? So
Yeah.
the problem is that's probably what we're getting into because your value is a little bit probably inflated. We're right. We want to see that first lien closer to 70 to 72% and take less money cash and roll it into the second note so you don't have to give up the discount. Okay. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Totally.
So instead of discounting the first note by an extra 5 points because of the risk factor of it being a higher LTV, but if you would have wrote that at here's what I would probably personally do is if I, on a deal like this, when it's sort of a little bit, I would probably see 118 divided by 0.7.
What is the value? Is the value 165?
Well, that's part of the
accurate?
problem. I don't have the value as high as he's got it at. Now, does that make a difference?
True value would be 135.
He's got
okay.
true value at 135, but sold at 165. Even more the reason to write a smaller first lien. It's okay to write it for 165, but you can't get it on the discount. You're gonna have to take it in the second lien. Okay.
You're
Or-
gonna take it. You're gonna take the risk on your side with the second lien being higher, but you're not. But rather than giving away all the money to the discount on the first.
So what I'm gonna do, so let's say it's 135, and we know that going in to writing the note. I'm the note buyer here, so I'm gonna say it's 135. Well, I want to do 135. The maximum I want to see that first lien is at 0.75. Okay. So at 0.75, I'm going to take 135 times 0.75. I'm just calculating what it is. That's 101. And then if it was written that way and it was at the right interest rate of 9.5 or higher, then we would be able to get you, I'm going to say in that property at that ratio, 0.92%. Okay. That means that's $93,000. Okay. Well, you owe 118. Okay. So if we do the math on real quick, 93. Okay. And you got 16.5 down plus 16. That puts you at 109. Okay. So you're $9,000 negative in this situation from a cash perspective. Doesn't mean you're going to lose $9,000. That's just what it is. But what you're going to get in return in this situation, you're going to end up getting a, so what is the first lien going to be? 135 times 0.75 is 103. You sold it for 165. That means you're going to end up with a 62 minus 16, a $46,000 second lien.
Yeah, that's what I've
So-
realized after.
So the question is, and this is a personal question, everybody has to think, would you rather invest $9,000 to get a $46,000 second lien? Or would you rather end up, say you could break even on the sale of the first note and end up with basically a $16,000 second lien? Would you invest $9,000 for an extra 30?
Well, you get your money, I based it off 10%. You get all your money back in less than 2 years, and then you're cranking out whatever the payment is on the 46,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just based
That's
it
a
off
personal, that's a
10%.
personal question, but you gotta have $9,000 to invest. And part of that is because of what you sold the price of the property for, because you actually inflated the value.
So what are some of the other solutions? Get more money,
I would
get more money
do the
down.
same. I would probably have done the same thing.
Mhm.
Okay, because here's what you don't know. You don't know at the time that you do it, what if the value comes in at 140? Okay,
Right.
now it changes the dynamic by $5,000. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but now your $9,000 investment
It's
is
4.
reduced down to by another $5,000, right?
Yeah.
So, but you're not going to ever hurt yourself by having it roll into the second note. It's just how it's going to be. So, it's a little bit of a game that you need to sort of play with, and how much are you willing to push the envelope? You will never get hurt by writing a lower first lien, okay? Because what happens is the lower the value of the first lien, the cash is never discounted from the borrower, okay? That's money, you get 100% of that value. The second lien is never discounted. You get 100% of that value. The only thing that's ever discounted is the first lien, okay?
Because you own the second, unless you have
own
to,
it and you own
unless
the
you have to
cash.
dump the second, but that's a whole nother,
So the question is, what do we do with this right here? Okay, so so for us to get you to 92%, we would have to write this at, we'd have to probably use that 135 number. I think I might be able to push it to 140, but I'm not going to get to 165. So if you already know that's where it's going to go at, and you already know that's not the value, that's the biggest challenge that note creators have, is that what you can sell it for and what the true value is are two different things. Because a note buyer in this situation, the way you wrote it, the LTV is like 98%.
yeah,
The true LTV is 98%, because you got to think of it from the note buyer's perspective. If that buyer defaults and I got to take that property back, what's the value of the property? Well, it's not 165. Even though the seller, even though the borrower might owe it, it doesn't mean I can do anything, to go get that property back and recoup my money if it's really only worth 135. So,
Yeah.
So the question is, where are you right now with the closing on this? I know you think you put it on you. I know you're really at the closing table now. Is it something that I think I told you what we could buy it for? Would you?
Hey, real quick. So is this a hard money loan or a private lender?
private lender.
So could you say, hey, I'm going to pay you off X, put you over here at Y, and I'll front load that and pay you off in 24 months. And then you have would you want to hold back X amount of money for 15%? You know what I mean? And then at least you're able to get out of that deal. You know what I mean?
So I really hey, I kind of messed up on, some of the numbers. So I reached out to the private lender, and essentially what I'm going to do is, I'm basically going to sign it over to him, and not make anything on this deal. I'm okay with that. Just because he's going to keep lending me more money, and just going forward, I know what the heck to do. Right.
Well, so what you want to do?
Maybe not the best solution, but yeah.
So let's figure out what we now. Are you going to give him? Do you want us to give you a formal offer on this note, or are you just going to give it to him in lieu of paying him back? He might love the 9%. He may love the 9% face value for the 118 you owe him. That's a good deal for investors. Shit.
Yeah. I'm just gonna sign it over to him because we went over a couple scenarios, and that's what makes sense for him right now.
Okay. And are
so
you still
you
going to
guys
stay in the second position? Are you going to hold the second?
No, I'm gonna sign everything over. So essentially, I'm kind of giving all of the control up. in, I guess, hopes that, hey, we're gonna keep doing deals, which he's supposed to fund another one this Friday. So
Okay, well, so,
You're
so
giving
if
up,
you-
you're
what was
giving
the
up a
number I
lot of
gave
money.
you on the first,
No.
if you don't change anything,
Are
okay?
you getting any of the $16,000? You're getting nothing.
I'm getting nothing, assigning everything over to him.
And the cash too?
Yeah. that's what
Yeah.
You just said.
All right, well, we're gonna have to figure that out. That's not fair. I mean, that's way, way over. I mean, he's gonna get a freaking 20% return in
I
perpetuity.
mean, he's essentially, because the market went stagnant and the house was sitting, you know,
But
the
you already
balloon
sold
was
and you already
due,
found the buyer and we already underwrote him, right? So where are you, so what was your first lien value was how much?
132.
You wrote it for 132, so 132 times,
80%, it's 80%.
so if I give you 85, I'm just gonna say I give you 85% of that. Okay? If I give you
Okay.
85% of the 132, that's 112. You're only $6,000 short. You have 16,000 in cash. I mean, I could give you 132 at 0.8. That's 105 and you're still okay. And at least you still get the back end of the
Yeah.
second note. I would, I mean,
Your goal
let's just
now
pay
is
him off.
how do I pay off my lender and get a note buyer to pay maximum value and keep the second lien? That's what your goal is.
Yeah.
well, I just figured it
Yeah, that
out.
was-
You're there already. I mean, if
Yeah,
I give,
what's his neutral? What's absolute?
I mean, at 132, if we pay 80%,
But how
okay.
much do you owe your lender?
118.
Okay.
118.
If I give you 80% of your first lien, okay? That's 105, okay? And I maybe even do a little better, but let's assume that it's only 105, okay?
Okay.
And you get $16,000 down payment. That puts 121 total cash in your pocket. And you only owe him 118.
Do you
So
have
in
any,
theory,
is there any like debt service to pay out, or is it already?
118.
Yeah, 118 is the total.
Okay.
So the worst thing I can see happen is you might break even on the cash. And you still get to keep the free and clear $16,000 second lien, which on paper is worth closer to 50, because at that, maybe it's 60, because that interest rate he wrote it at 14.5%.
Yeah.
I would look, I mean, you can do
On a
whatever.
30, is that 30-year term, 16 grand? Is that what it is? 14.
Yeah,
You know,
everything's
I don't
30-year
know, I
term.
put it in the calculator, but over the,
Yeah, it's $189 a month.
no, but over, but times 30 years is.
No, I
lot.
understand that, but it's still,
What do you want? So let me ask the question. What do you want to do? Do you want to try to get it? Do you want to just be done with it and give him everything? Or would you rather just pay him off and move on? I mean,
At
he's not gonna
this
get pissed if you
time,
give him,
I want to just give him everything because the balloon basically popped and I'm 47 days over because it went under contract a couple of times on the MLS. And I'm
Okay.
just trying to keep the
yeah, but
relationship good.
he's still earning interest, right?
We just did a flat fee of 10 grand.
okay,
Yeah,
Well-
15 grand on how, on what amount? On the 118 or the original amount?
So my note total is 108 and I'm paying him 10 grand. So 118 total.
so if you were to tell him and say, if you went to him and said, look, I would rather just pay this off. If I need another 10 days to pay it off, 2 weeks, whatever you want to feel comfortable with, can I give you an extra $3,000? Would he not take that? Would he not take that from you?
I can try.
I don't
but,
think he wants to, you already told him what you would give him, so he's probably gonna say, screw that. I'm gonna get a freaking $130-something thousand notes. He's gonna make out like a bandit, right? But I'm not saying you should do one thing or the other.
No, he's gonna get 149,000 in paper.
Yeah, but he's gonna be lending me on Friday. We're gonna be I'm closing on a house, 4 package, like a house of four houses rather, and he's gonna be funding it all. And my game plan would be the same as this: is to just create 2 notes and long term.
Sometimes it's better to lose the battle and win the war, right? I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you should or shouldn't do anything, but because I haven't had a conversation with the lender.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, regardless of what you do on this first transaction you have right now, understand that we can help you structure it differently and for more profit as you move forward and do the deals.
Well, I
Okay.
have 2 more I'm selling seller finance right now. So
Perfect.
going through what I've just realized, yeah. When we talked over the weekend, I realized where I should kind of put the notes at and better position myself.
Right.
I did have a question on that.
Sure, go ahead.
You know, let's say I'm selling a house at 250 and I'm getting 10% down, so $25,000 down. And for hypothetical, let's say my note is 100 grand that I owe the private money guy. Can I
What's the
create a
value of
note
the house?
higher? You know,
What's the value of the house?
value of the house is 235.
Okay, that's within the range. That's fine. Okay, what was your question?
Can I create the first note higher and just like, let's say I wanted to net 50 on this, you know,
Yes.
so I'm getting 25 down. Can I make it to where I can get another 25 out of that first note?
Yeah, and that's what the modeling software will do. You can, it'll show you, you can go in there and you can adjust the first lien value up to 75%, but no, if your value is off, you may be running the risk of a discount. That's why we changed it just about 2 weeks ago down to 72. But on that number, you might be able to get $50,000 back writing a 70%.
Yeah, you might be able to get 50 grand and a piece of the down payment. So it's submitting how much cash you want and how much cash flow you want to make.
Yeah, because you're gonna get, because 50, you don't need 50,000 in addition to the down payment. You're saying 50,000 transactional on the deal.
Yeah, so 25 down and then 25 off of the first after I
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah.
Really easy to do. In fact, why don't you do
You
this?
only owe 100. That's a no-brainer.
Download the model, follow the instructions that are in there, put it in the model, save it, send it over. Let's take a look at it and we can walk through it and see what that,
All the resources and the modeling is in the chat. So just go in your phone or whatever and copy and paste it into your system, into your notes or wherever you put it.
And if you can't find it or need some help, just send me a message and
It's also in the Facebook group as
we'll
well.
get you on it. He's not even in the Facebook group. He just literally joined the Facebook group.
Oh, good.
So
Yeah.
and just coincidentally he reached out to me because we were at the meetup that was that I think it was Pace and Jamil were at. I think it was the one. And
Yeah.
and then here it is. But this happens all the time. Got a guy in St. Louis. I don't think Brian's on the call. He sent me 3 notes over the other day, and it's going to be tough. The key, that's where we get back into this valuation point.
Here's the deal. I don't mind you selling the houses for more than, the seller finance values, whatever this buyer is willing to pay. I'm fine with that. But when you want to exit out of this is why Nick and I exist, is the value is the value, is the true market, true value is the value. And then you're able to acquire you got $100,000 on one house that you could probably get a note on it for 150 easy, and then whatever cash flow you want. But I know John and Marie have a question. So I want to,
all right. So let me because Kenley's mobile right now. So
yeah.
I want to let him go. You have our contact information, download the model, take the new deal. If you decide you want to do something on the first deal and you want us to give you a bid on it, I'm pretty sure it's going to be that, somewhere around that 80 to 82%. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to do it and cash out, once you close it, what happens next is that once it gets closed, you have to change the servicer. If you don't want to change the servicer, then we wouldn't be a buyer. We'd have to use August REI. Then what happens is that once the documents are signed and executed, we got to wait for the recorded documents to come back from the county, verify all that. And then from there, it takes about 2 to 3 business days to fund the note. So we usually say 10 days from when you close, if the file is ready, just for anybody listening or in the future. but when we do the next, but when you do the next transaction, what'll happen is that you'll find the buyer, you'll do the contract, you'll send the contract for 250 and 25 down. We'll tell you what the terms should be based on the deal, okay? We'll look at the model and put it in there and say, hey, I would recommend doing this at 71% because of these reasons, or whatever it is. And you say yes or no, then we send it over. It goes to transaction management. Then they manage everything with the servicer, with the attorneys, with the documentation prep, with the underwriters, the whole 9 yards. And all you do is wait for the come back and sign your seller documents, the buyer to sign. And then from there, we wait the 2 or 3 days for the recorded docs to come back. And then from there, we manage the back end of the sale of the note, right? So we're technically doing a wrap on a hard money deal for technically maybe call it 2 weeks, right? Because we will wrap the hard money. But then what happens is then when we close it and we sell the note, the only way that we'll take a note that you wrote is by having the underlying debt gone. So the money that I would buy the note for has to go to pay off so we'll have to get a payoff from the lender. That money goes directly to them. It gets paid off. Whatever the difference is goes to you. We do a transfer of collateral, purchase sales.
The hard
agreement,
money
run,
lender or your
comes
private
in
lender
us,
signs a
and it's gone
release.
from there.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So, but the good
Oh, yeah,
news is that when you do the next one, you don't have to do anything except get the buyer to sign the contract and let us manage the rest of the transaction on your behalf. So you can put yourself, and then you'll get the back end second note or of whatever value that is, if that's what you want. All right.
Yeah, I love that. Again, I've sold many seller finance notes with just one, and it's an issue dealing with buyers and getting them to send everything in and all that.
Cool,
I
man.
appreciate
All right,
you
buddy.
guys.
Let me know if we can help.
Pace
All
told
right,
me
take
to-
care. See you
Yeah,
now.
appreciate it. Bye.
All right, take care. See you. All right, cool. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We got a couple questions, I'm sure.
Yep. I know Marie's been waiting, and so John, so we'll go, they're up.
All right, let's go to Jonathan real quick.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask Jonathan what he's got. I see he's got a couple questions in the chat.
Yeah, oh, he put one in, he's got a spreadsheet that he has in the chat that he wanted to pull up if we have time to do it. So, and it's a good one to talk about because what he did and how he's doing it, which I thought would be a good conversation.
Well, I would rather let him pull it up, share the screen and walk us through it because I know how to do it already. I want to know that he
Right.
can. If you, Jonathan, are you on the computer? Can you unmute and share your screen and go through this model yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm unmuted. It says host disabled participant.
I gotta
Screen
give you, hang
sharing.
on, I gotta give you,
Here, I'm gonna give you spotlight and screen share. I think I can do that, but you gotta be on,
hang on.
you gotta be on video.
I'm on video.
All right, hang on.
You are? Oh,
It's-
okay.
I didn't
It
figure
just
out-
won't let me do it.
Hang on, I gotta get back to that screen. Give me a second. What was it at? I just lost you guys. Is this it? There it is. Okay, I'm gonna
Start
give you.
my video.
All right, there you go. All right,
Okay.
you have screen share now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so share your
Mm.
screen. Let's walk through it real quick, and then let's see if we can get you an answer and go through this. All right.
Okay. So, just kind of very intentional, and I want to do right by Eric because I know he liked the whole story. And so the story was that, after talking to a lot of people, and I don't have a lot of experience with this. So I discovered that under $300,000 is where the 2-note solution works. And I really like this whole concept. And my goal would be to get as many of these done as possible this year as I can. So where do I get these? Well, when you look at some of the $300,000 and below places in Miami and Broward and stuff, I mean, honestly, some of these look like they have an engineering issue or that they're sinking or that whatever. And there's a lot of wood frame houses. And if they don't take care of them, the termites are really tough. So
Now, where do
I'm
you
really
live,
looking.
Jonathan? Where are you? You're in California?
No, I'm in Florida.
You are in Florida. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you're.
And by the way, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so you're able to see some of this stuff in person versus
Oh,
virtually?
yeah.
Okay,
And I want to do that. And that's the purpose of being in my backyard. I know it well. So I've been
okay,
in real estate for 12 years. So
all
I
right,
know the
good,
areas.
all right, super.
So so I'm looking at these places and like a lot of them look like they're kind of like really, I'm being very careful about what I choose. It's got to look like it's solid. Like I'm not paying for something that's going to fall into the
Right.
dirt. So anyway, intentional, 300,000 and below, across the areas. And I'm looking at I'm going through a list, really just a search, it's an MLS search. I'm going through it. And I speak Spanish and Portuguese fluently. So for me, the whole issue of language is not a problem. I ran into a situation where there was a tenant in there. The realtor is this kind of New York guy, like cocky, like I lived in New York, so I'm used to dealing with him, and everyone here's from New York. He's a pain in the ass, but whatever. He at first he was all nice, and then he's like, "Yeah, I don't want you calling the tenants," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. They're the ones that I wanna sell to. I don't want to go look for a buyer." So I go and I did the research because I can find anything. I found the tenant, called him. We spoke in Spanish. He's like, "Well, I can't get approved of the bank." I said, "Not a problem." I said, "I'll finance you." He's like, "Well, how much should I need down?" I said, "Probably about 50 grand." He's like, "No problem." I mean, it was like perfect. So I've got a buyer, I've got a deposit, I've got the right kind of thing. And so where I start to get tripped up, and I know that my mentor, one of my mentors is here on the line here, Jeff Rappaport. So I'm conscious of getting judged here. So
Jeff is gonna be
anyway,
following up with you after.
Jeff
this
is
call.
very mean. He's a mean man.
yeah. So anyway, so
No,
so
Jeff is
here
good, man. Jeff is good.
He's
Go
not going
ahead.
to
Let's
give me
go
any
through this.
breathing room, but that's okay. That's okay.
All right, this is good.
So basically they want like 300. Okay, let's just assume they don't get it. So I'm thinking, well, what can I do? Let's say that I could sell for 330. The guy asked me, well, how much? I said, it doesn't matter. It's about the payments, right? I'll make sure that the payments work. He's like, no problem. So it was all good. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out what numbers here work, and I'm playing around here with this. At first, what I used to do was I used to take the number here, the sales price, and I used to do equals 0.7, and I would do 0.7 of the equals 0.7 of the sales price. I don't know why it's not working. Anyway, but that's what I used to do.
Hey, man,
And
hey,
I used to
back up. There you go. Just go back. All right. So the minimum owner finance value is the minimum that is what we would need to sell it for based on that price. So you're already on the wrong side of it based on that number. If you're selling it at 330, the way the model is set now, as the value goes up, the price goes up, that does change a little bit. It's not linear but that's why you got a minus $16,000 out of the cash, out of the pocket down there in that first green
That's
box.
what I'd have to come up with to close it if I didn't do things
So what
correct.
that says is if you scroll down, if all these numbers are accurate, what it's saying is that you're gonna have to invest $16,099
Close
to
it.
create a $42,400 second lien. Okay,
So
So
this
you-
is pertinent to the lien.
But also you already found the buyer. There's a lot of expenses you're going to not have
Right.
here.
So I knocked that off. I knocked off the repair. They don't want it. They're general contractors. I changed where's the percentage for the
commission right there.
commission? I have it 0.
Yeah.
Right. And I started playing with this after you started speaking 10 minutes ago. Like, screw that. I'll just make it 13. I'll just take less down, give them the 50. I had 70 here. Right. And I thought, okay,
but
that'll help me.
let's talk about this for a second. Okay. This is a question you need to ask yourself, and it's unique to each individual. Let's just play with these two numbers only. Okay. Let's put 70,000 in there. So do you want to you can either get $70,000 cash and walk away with $3,900 at closing, which is your cash now, and a $22,400 second lien. Those are the numbers. You see where they are on the sheet? Or no, go back. Don't go back, and it controls. Yeah. Or pay $16,000 to generate a $42,000 second lien.
Or lower this down or
Yeah.
raise this up.
Yeah,
So let's say that I go to 350. This is the problem I have with this sheets and stuff is I don't know what to play with. So let's say that, you know, let's say it's not worth 350, but to me it's worth it. And for the buyer, it's worth it. And he'll pay,
that's fine.
what is it? He'll pay $2,600 a month, $2,696 a month. Let's say that he'll do that. Well, great. I'd rather have less down and I'd rather have more per month, a 531 minimal, than if I did this 70,000
It really.
and had
it does
less
boil
per
down.
month.
So there's a couple things I see on here. First of all, if I knew that I had this, here's where you got to be careful, okay? You do this contract with the buyer, and the seller, okay? You have this contracts, okay? You've manipulated this sheet for this particular transaction, okay?
Yep.
If the buyer gets hit by a bus or whatever happens, and he's no longer your buyer, are you still going to be able to sell this with no sales commission?
Maybe not.
Maybe
I don't
not.
know. I mean,
right? So ideally, I don't like changing things out of the thing. I would want to model it so that it passes the test there, because you're probably, look, you can structure this deal. Look, you could, and we don't have time to go on this call, but if I know that I have that contract already with the buyer and a seller, I would probably come back to the seller and say, look, I'll give you, because how much does your hard money cost in this deal? 10 grand?
well, I called a guy today down here and he was like talking about 13-14% and like, he's not even going to give it to me. And I have to check
Well,
my
why
credit.
you
I was-
go right back to the seller and say, look, if you're willing to give me an extra 2 weeks after we close this deal to get you paid, I will pay you an additional X, right? Leave the exist. It doesn't matter what if he owns anything on or not, let him be the bank. He can be the bank for you
Yeah, temporarily, right?
just for that short period of time and just say, look, I'm going to have it paid off once they close it, but I need to be able to do this. Now it's a little bit more advanced, but at 12.9 and you see you're paying, scroll down a little bit on there. You're paying, it's got to be at least, you got 3,000, you got cost of cap, you got 6,000. You got almost 8,000. It's a lot of money, right? The seller might say, I'll give you 2 extra weeks for 5 grand. You just got to get the realtor out of the way to let you.
But
negotiate.
one of the things is what do you have the first lien priced at? Where's that?
Here,
Yeah, where's the first lien?
9.75.
No. The first lien's 252.
Yeah, at 72% at 9.75.
But you've got it at you've got it 252 of your resale price, not true market value. That's where I think you're going to get a hiccup. The note won't.
Well, I don't know. He's at 72% and an 88% sale price. I think he's probably going to be okay. He's only off by less than 5%. I don't think that's a significant number, because then you say did you tell me what is this worth as it stands right now? Do you think?
like at this point, honest to God, I'm just playing with this. What it's worth, that's a whole other thing, because what it's worth to who? Because to the guy that's in there,
The only person that really matters what the number is who's going to buy the note.
Yeah, it's worth what the note buyer thinks it's worth. That's the important
Because
part.
that's where the risk is going to be
number there.
assessed.
so they're going to be looking at the comps as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they'll,
absolutely.
okay, so then they're going to want to know that I sold this to someone at a price in which, and if it's not what they want, they're going to give me less for the note.
That's correct, but we've already adjusted this down conservatively in the model. So we've already reduced it to 72% and 88. The actual number might be closer to 75 and 90, okay? We have a spread there, but we want to model it conservatively. So, I would say, do you think it's worth at least 300?
It's like, who knows? Let's just say it is.
What
I
do the
don't
realtors
know.
tell you it's worth?
I'm a realtor and I'm looking at the stuff and, you look at the stuff and you just say, really? And then,
Well,
Every
Can I tell
30
you-
every 30 days, the prices are gonna, in my opinion, might change based off rates. So stuff that sold perfect example, I had a property in my neighborhood sold for $1,100 a square foot 60 days ago. Well, 60 days ago, rates were different than what they are now. So
Yeah.
it's relative to what the affordability factor is. So, but no,
Trying to
what
find out
no,
where I
no,
have it here
but-
so you
but
can have a look at
here's
it.
here's the takeaway for everyone on the call. What you did is you went and found properties that fit the model in a specific area. You put a specific list, and then you found people that are those properties that are tenant occupied. You found a
Mhm.
tenant who wants to stay and has the ability to pay and has the down payment. Now you've just literally found, it's like the ultimate, like you found a buyer that wants, or you found a tenant who wants to buy and has the money to put down. Here's the other
Right.
thing. You threw out 50 grand, they probably have more than that, right? So,
Yeah, they have more than that. I'm sure they have more than that.
right.
well, cash will make that deal a lot better if you can get more to come down. But yeah, there again, I think at the end of the day, it's just a matter of running the numbers. But the couple things you have going in your favor on this deal is that you already have a potential buyer. And that changes, in my opinion, on how I would acquire it, because you can give the seller a little bit more of an asking price if he's able to work with you. My opinion. That's what I would negotiate at the end of the day.
So you would have two closes? Does that, what that means is it'll be a double close
You
instead of
know,
a single?
No, I wouldn't, but we don't have enough time to go through it on this call today. I would, it'd be, an extra closing is gonna be a little tough. I mean, we'd have to figure out
So what Nick's saying is have the seller stay in the deal until you can sell the first lien and just give them a spiff for less than what you would pay a hard money lender. So if their hard money lender wants to charge you 10%, 2
I got it.
points, and all
I
this
got it.
other stuff, throw them
Mhm.
5 grand, give them, and then say, I'm going to give you the down payment. And you kind of just, it's kind of a wrap. It's a creative way of doing it.
I would
It's
have
kinda
the
like a
seller,
novation.
I would have the seller be the seller to my buyer. I'd have the seller be responsible for all the lender docs, which I would create on his behalf. And I would have an agreement to buy the note back from him at a predetermined price to exit him out and keep me in the deal long term. That's
Yeah.
Why do you want the
In a
seller to
nutshell,
do
what I
all
would-
that? Why do you want the seller to do all that? That's kind of like makes my job harder, no?
no. Well, you don't have. He's only doing it on paper. He's not doing.
Okay.
You're doing the work. Meaning, instead of you having two, because that way you have one contract instead of two, right?
So I do it on his behalf. I do the whole thing on his behalf, basically temporary owner financing. His money will sit in escrow. When it closes, it closes. And a couple of days later, when I sell the note, he gets the note and we're done.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
God, you guys are sick.
Don't tell anybody, please.
They don't believe me anyway. It doesn't matter.
This thing, are we live? Is this thing on?
Yeah.
No, dude, but there's a lot of different ways you can structure it. When you have willing parties, there's a lot of stuff you can do and perfectly legal, and everybody wins, because guess who doesn't win in what we just said? The hard money lender. He didn't win because he's not in the deal.
Yeah.
Mr. Seller, it's gonna cost me $10,000 to bring the hard money lender in. I would rather split that with you. That's basically what we're doing here, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'll pay you an extra 5 grand.
Whatever the
I'm just
number
making a
is.
number for 2 to 3 weeks.
No, but here's what I need to do. You can be transparent with all this stuff. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
the seller just wants his damn money, you know?
Yeah.
You can contractually control all of this without ever taking any ownership on it. But, there again, each state's a little bit different. The structure has to be different. It's why it's really, really, really important that you use the proper transaction management groups that can manage and underwrite. I'm doing exactly what I just said for a property in Oklahoma. I'm doing the same exact thing. The only difference is, I'm not taking anything on the deal. I'm just gonna I'm trying to help an older lady out of a bad situation. And I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I'm gonna have the transaction coordinator do all the paperwork. I'm not taking any of the cash on the down payment. There's not gonna be that much because there's, the fees, the buyer, and it was hard to get rid of this property. And it's gonna only be a couple $100 a month cash flow. And I'm just gonna let the seller keep it all. But it's the same thing conceptually. I could very easily have kept the same thing and that would have been my profit on the deal. And it would have been no different of a structure than what you can do with this right here. Because in the
Well,
end
I
of the
think
day, the
what-
seller just wants to get paid, the buyer just wants to get in the house.
Well, Eric said something that was, I thought, smart, which is that like it's innovation, and that makes it smart. Like if I don't have a buyer and I want to retail it, then that can be a good way to use the
Well,
innovation, you know what I mean?
well, it's one way to use it for sure. And the other thing is that, we talk about going out and finding deals and taking them down with hard money. And that's what a lot of the examples and everything are. But at the end of the day,
Doesn't
that-
matter.
that's when you're in a seller's market and you have to move quick, right? When you have a bunch of competition beating on the seller's door and you're trying to get it, you have to be first to the scene, and they got it. You have to be able to put up cash, which is in the form of the hard money.
But how much more could you pay knowing you have a $50,000 down payment behind you and no rehab?
How much
Much-
more? There's nothing you have to do. They're general
No,
contractors.
I
living in
understand
there.
that, but
Mhm.
you knowing that gives you so much more
Well,
room
You're
in
just
the
solving
deal.
for the profit you want to get on the deal. There's
Yeah.
no uncertainty now in the deal. You can just
Yeah.
model and say, this is what I want on the deal. I'm willing to walk away with a $20,000 second.
Think
lien.
about how much money you're gonna save by not having to close traditionally close the first, it's a back-to-back closing and there's
Guys.
gonna be less fees.
I know we're losing people because there's still a lot of people on it. But this is exactly why the coaching program that we have
Yes.
exists. Because one of these deals like this pays for itself not 1,000 times, multiple times.
It does, because you're
Well,
gonna do
and
more
you know,
deals.
and the only reason why I even brought it up in this conversation with Jonathan is because I don't want him to make a dumb deal when I know there's another way to strike a deal that benefits him. Otherwise, I would never just intentionally say, oh, why don't you do this way? Because that's not the function of this call in this group. But we said it and there it is. That's what I would do. I mean, I'm not telling
And you keep mentioning transaction coordinators. One thing that's all I've heard from you guys is constant close. Are they the only ones? Because
they
I
do
mean,
everything outside of Texas. Cash Forms America does everything in the state of Texas.
Okay. All right. So they're the people that they know how to do what you're doing. I
Yes.
can bring it to
You
them
let them
and
know
it's clean.
exactly what you want done, like that you need to implement the creative deal maker model, and they will do it.
You gotta
Okay.
write a
Double
simple
check it.
summary of what you're trying to accomplish and they will follow through with it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, 131 days on the market, this thing. It's not a rush.
Yeah.
You could not have said it any better. And that's what people have to realize is it is not a rush. And guess what there is? Guess what there is? This guy's got one buyer right now, you. If it
That's
was that
it.
good
It's
of a
all
deal,
he's
he would have
got.
already sold it.
It's
Yeah.
all he's got. And it's a great look. It can be structured correctly.
So this is what I tell everybody right now in today's market. And maybe some of you guys can listen to the replay down the road here in our Facebook group, but you have the option to write your terms and your strategy and your closing dates and everything the way you want them, not the way they want them, because exactly what Nick said. You're the buyer and you're going to write it accordingly and negotiate the deal. And you're making it a win-win because you're giving him his price. It's a no-brainer.
Right. He just has to wait a little bit to make things easier for me. The only thing that I don't understand, I won't take you off and I'll let you go. But like, okay, so obviously I can change these things and these affect the note. This affects the note buyer.
All the yellow,
This
all the
affects the
yellow
note
cells are
buyer.
control. The yellow cells are everything you control.
Right. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in the mind of the note buyer, they care about this price. They care about this first lien
Yeah.
rate. They care about whether the buyer is qualified. So with regards to thinking in terms of the note buyer,
And they're also
Those
looking at they're looking at their investment, the value. We call it ITV. Okay.
Okay,
investment to value, and or there's also, there's another, it can be called something else. It's the ratio, right? They're basically assessing risk. How much are they gonna, so let's look at this real quick and then we're gonna wrap up. So a
Okay.
note buyer, and if you go up to, right on where it says hard money, next one over where it says 221, 760, go down 2 cells. You're right where you were on the hard money. No, up on the hard money column where it says 350. Keep
Mhm.
going, go all the way up to where it says 350. Right underneath 350, right there, under, it says 221. Okay, that's what the note buyer is paying. Okay, in this model. So they're paying 221 is their investment against the asset in the value of the asset. So
Mhm.
if they're paying 221 and the house and the property's worth 350, that's a lot better investment than to give them to pay 221 against 250, right? There's
Mhm.
risk. That's what they're doing. We're mitigating, we're analyzing the risk for the return. Okay, that's it. Obviously, the higher return means there's more chance of risk.
Mhm.
So if you go change that number to 70% in the yellow for a second, that number is going to drop down. And what does it drop down to? Drops to 215. Okay, that's what's happening. So all the other numbers will change. The second lien will go up. The cost of cash will also change. So if you're concerned about it, set it at 70. Go solve for it, but you can always try to get a better deal because you go find the buyer. You can remember the model is just a forecast. That's all that it is. Okay. You might come out and say, well, you know what? I got a buyer. I can run this at 74%. And because I know what the value is because I did a BPO or an appraisal. Boom. Now you're locked in. But when you're modeling in the beginning and you're forecasting, you don't have that luxury, especially of time. And plus, you don't want to go spend a bunch of money on appraisals and BPOs if you don't even know that you're going to get the deal. It just doesn't make any sense. So that's why the model is conservative. So I think you got a pretty good deal here. I think you can leverage the seller given the situation. I would probably go see if I can get the buyer. And, I'd go get a 30-day contract with the seller. And then I would go negotiate with your buyer, get some level of money worked up and just tell them, go, look, I'm working on the deal and just go treat it just like you would as if you were a wholesaler, right? If you're a wholesaler, you're going to flip it for a wholesaling fee. This is not a lot of difference. It's very similar.
I'm gonna send the buyer to an RMLO. I'm gonna have him do what he needs to do. I'll get that stuff back. At that point, then it's just a matter of him putting money into escrow and having a contract and.
Yeah, and you just say that it's subject to approval, right? Here's the deal. You got yourself time. You send them to RMLO. You don't like the way the report comes back for whatever reason, doesn't qualify. Well, then, sorry, Mr. Buyer, I can't qualify you. And if I need it, maybe you got to raise the down payment by $20,000 based on his underwriting score or whatever comes back. And then he can say yes or say no, but it gives you a little bit of time. So I want to wrap up because we got other stuff coming on. I hope we got everybody's question answered. Do we have anybody? Let's see. Jonathan, that was you. I know Marie had her hand raised. This last question to Marie, and then we'll wrap up and then we'll see you guys next week. So Marie, if you're still there and you got a question, fire away and we're going to wrap it up.
I will add her on. We need to remove his, I don't know. There we go.
There we go.
All right. We're going to go. Sorry about that. We're going to add spotlight. There we go. There we go. Perfect.
All right. Go ahead. All right, Marie.
Okay. We have a buyer ready to go for one of our properties. And so we want to include the right of first refusal. And where does it go? What document does it go in? How do we word that? I can't find an example.
So Eric, did we put that in the resource center? I know you sent that out or showed it. You had some verbiage that we had before. And you're talking about the right of first refusal to buy the property back if the buyer chooses to sell it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So there's actually there's that verbiage in it. Then there's actually another document that's going to get prepared by the title company or somebody that's going to get recorded and filed. So it puts a lien on the property so that if they try to go do it, they have to come back to you to do it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So, we can, do you have that, Eric, Candy, or is it in the resource? Do you know?
Let's see.
And if not, just send an email to support. We'll look it up. We'll get it over
Yes.
to you in an email, and then we'll also post it into the resource center as well.
She wants to know where it goes.
Well, you can put it a couple of different places. I probably would put it in the sales contract as an addendum. You can put it in provisions. Where do you usually put it, Eric?
I just have it in. I have it in the closing package. They sign it and then
It's a separate
it's a
document,
lien
is like
against
a-
the property.
Is that like
It's a separate document.
Yeah,
Yep.
so if you can put it there all in one as well. I would probably put it in both. Because you still need to have a document that you can actually file, notarize and record, right? So
Right.
that's.
Yeah. Every state and every title company has their own way of recording it. You just want to tell them what you're doing and then they'll be able to close it accordingly. That's
Yeah.
right.
You just want to put it as a lien on the property or a cloud on title so that
Mhm.
so they go to sell it. Now, I didn't say that they have to sell it to you at a certain price or anything.
They don't have to sell it to you. You just have the right to buy it. And then if they can go, there's certain things that they can do in order to do it. But basically why I do it is I'm building a list of properties they can buy back at any time if there's a default. And so they're like, well, you're just going to buy it. Well, it's going to cost me commissions, closing costs, repairs, blah, blah, blah. I add it all up. It's just a wholesale property that I could technically buy back. Or as I'm in the business, I already have buyers in my market that want this house. I already know, I don't know them personally, but I know they want it. I know they want to sell or finance property in a specific area. So whatever the numbers are, it may or may not work. There's no guarantees, but it gives you the option, right?
Well, here's the reason why you want to know this, okay? Because if you want to know if the buyer that you sold it to is thinking of selling the house, right? Or refinancing it, because you can renegotiate that before that leaves. But let's just say that let's just say for sake of argument, okay, that you kept the first and second lien and you had underlying debt on it, okay? And you're thinking about selling a note. Well, if you knew he's going to do something with it, you surely wouldn't want to sell either one of those two notes because you can get full UPB payoff when he does sell, right? So there's definitely advantages to it. Information is our biggest friend in all of this, and that's all we want to know. It helps us paint the picture on what we need to know or how we need to get the data. So anyway.
Hey, real quick, Jeff put in the chat the terminology, like the wording that you'd want to use. So just copy and paste that, and that's super helpful.
Elvia, do me a favor. Elvia, grab that out of there before we close this down and just add it to in the resource center somewhere. If we want a document for it, there's probably actually a sample. Do you have a sample, Eric, that you used that you filed that shows the actual
the
contract?
contract?
We can redact it and this. Yeah, just like all it is a 1-page signature page that gets filed. Has to be notarized if it's going to get recorded, and it gets done there too. So
Is that a memorandum?
it's some form of a memorandum.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to know.
You can file a memorandum to actually show that says that there is this document that they need to review. Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
Or you can
Just
do
wanted to
it.
know if you did that or not.
Yeah.
There's each state's
Honestly, I just do what my title company tells me to do, and they record it in the closing package.
Exactly. All right, guys, we're gonna roll, man. Hope that was beneficial. Went a little long, but it was finished the same time, starting an hour early. Thank God we started earlier. But that's okay. This is important because you guys are out there doing deal. The time is now. I mean, the deals that we're seeing. I had another conversation with a big time wholesaler, and they go, how do I get you some of these creative deals to do, because the seller, we're too far away. And we're seeing them through the coaching program that they get people come in. You guys, look and evaluate what there is. Go back and watch the videos that we've done on the structure and things like that. And just make a decision on how heavy you want to go in it. But the beauty of all of this right now, we've seen a shift, is that there's more deals to be done now. There's less cash to be made up front. but there's more money to be made on the cash flow. And just like Kinley was saying, well, I want X dollars. Well, if you get a good enough deal, then you can structure that deal to be any way that you want it to be, as long as you have the numbers and you put them in the model correctly. So anyway, that's all I got, man. So we're gonna roll. Hope this guys was good for you guys, and we'll see you on the call next week.
See you guys. Have a good week.
All right, take
See
care.
ya.
Take
All
care.
right. Later.